right? An AI agent knows, hey, you have to set up record, to the cloud, do Zoom to YouTube, notes the channel I want to do. All of that can be automated, right? Right, all of this, and then I can have my AI avatar with me, knowing types of questions, right? I could do it. I'll probably do it this semester. Maybe some of you want to do. I can have my own avatar, my own voice chat bot. Oh, what about the test? I have questions, almost like Peyton was saying, this is the coming up test. What's the format? I basically could put, right, Thomas, all of my documents in. Right. And what am I coming in for? To basically supervise the bot. And then I would want the bot to be smart enough to know, hey, wait a minute, hold on, let me ask Dr. Rush on that question. She may have changed something, and then maybe end up, or maybe later on they don't even need me, right? A lot of this automation, I always have used myself as the guinea pig. And many times I go to my colleagues, right, my distinguished colleagues, and say, hey, will you be part of my group? And in the time, many of them said, guess what? No, because they said, what will they need me for? And I said, if you're not outstanding, maybe they won't need you if you're not making contributions enough. So it's interesting. So, okay, so everybody turn on your camera and we'll get going. I think I've done this. Let me do I'll do it too. I'll do my Loom. Start recording. We'll see how that works out. They're telling me I have speaker notes even. I can do start recording. And each program is getting better and better as they go. It's hard to even keep up. Okay, so I'm recording. We have everything working out. Samuel, are you there? Briggs and Matthew? Sebastian, how are you doing? Do you hear me? Sebastian.
I do hear, Professor. How
Good.
are you?
Okay, so how did it work out with the computers in the lab?
There was a
I saw
classroom
you.
there, so I wasn't able to check them all out. But for the most part, I'd say like 70% of them were working.
Okay, 70%. Okay, so, and I saw you gave the numbers to Daniel.
I did give the numbers to Daniel.
Daniel, and then we'll see what Daniel says, and hopefully we can get back to the IT people that they can
Hopefully.
make those corrections, and it won't be 70, but at least it'll be 90% working, right?
Correct.
Or 95 or 100. And then maybe, do you have classes? We'll see when they finish, you know what I mean? But maybe we can check them again at a certain time. So where they are. Okay. So Briggs, so who would like to moderate my chat? Any volunteers today? I'm all yours today. So I'll take your lead and then I'll add what I needed to do. Where is any volunteers for class participation on moderating the chat? I'm always surprised people are reluctant on that. I would have been the first to say, hey, yeah, I'll do it. Not a
I can do
lot
it.
of things. Okay, Soren, you have that. And who else wants to join Soren just in checking the chat, letting me know?
I can help out too.
Who was that?
Zach.
Okay, Zach, great. Thank you so much for being a participant here. Okay, so Zach and Soren, let me know. Unmic yourself and let me know. Okay, so today, what I'd like to do is do a bit more of the review for the exam. We all know that it is on Monday. I suggest you come, everybody get 10-15 minutes early to the exam, take your place so we can basically, this class is supposed to start at 3:35. We're always a little bit late here, getting everybody online, getting everybody audio. So make sure that you're available at SBA School of Business, the second floor in the computer lab. If you don't know where it is or not sure, I suggest you try to go there and check it out to see. Okay. So I know Peyton had some questions on the exam. Let me just start here and then I'll also take questions from each of you. Okay, and then I'll also go over it myself. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to share my screen. Everybody sees my screen. I'll go to Chrome. A lot of you were having issues with browsers, especially with Wiley, and even with Blackboard. I suggested you use Chrome. Someone yesterday, the day before, had problems even uploading to their audit areas, so they weren't able to do that. Okay, so I see now everybody is on Zoom and we're ready to go. So we know that's working. I turn off my speaker to Zoom so I don't get echoes. Okay, we were here. So what I need to do is look at the what's due section. And if I look at what's due, I see in what's due, let me turn this off so I see exactly what you see. And that is March 3rd. That is Monday. Can't believe it. This week is already March 1st on Saturday. So it basically is March 3rd in person, and it's in PPT and documents. That's not the one I want. I want PPT and documents. And I see here exam 1 review guide. So it's exam 1 review guide. Let me make sure that everybody understands. So review guide exam 1, it will cover chapters 1, TG1 and TG2. So Andrea, what chapter did you do in your Google?
I did chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Chapter 2 or TG2?
TG2. Wait, sorry.
So in your group, make sure that your group, I saw it was said chapter 1 and 2, make sure that because we have a chapter 1, I asked you not to do chapter 1 in your group. I asked you to do TG1 and TG2. If that's the case, Andrea, just go edit it now to make sure that we have everything is clear. And that's the beauty, is you want, as a group, you want to make sure that your idea of auditing is you should be able to audit each other. Even though in this assignment you did your personal work, the whole idea of this group is that you can at least audit each other and say, hey, you know, this link didn't work. This says chapter 1. Did you review chapter 1 or was it TG1? Right? So in that case, it'll take place in SBA 204 in the PC lab. You need to come 10 minutes early for sure. Even try a little bit earlier than that. I'll be there definitely earlier. You need to make sure that you know that up to now everything was open. For this exam, both parts, it will be closed notes, closed book, closed AI software. You will only be using what we call the respondent software, and you will only be able to do the tests online. The exam, I think everybody should finish before the end of the exam. It's not like you don't know what's happening there. If you do finish early, you need to check out properly. Sebastian will be with me, right, Sebastian? And you'll be checking everybody out. You'll be physically checking everybody out. You'll show your picture ID, because what is a pictured ID? Why am I asking? This is a good review then, in this case, Soren. What is the picture ID in controls, right? In information systems, right? What type of control is asking somebody to bring their picture ID. You're bringing yourself, right, physically. We're not going to be doing any biometrics on you, right? I'm not going to be doing any fingerprinting or anything like that on you. So the easiest way is that you have a formal pictured ID, either a cane card or a government ID, and then there's some kind of matching. There isn't, I don't know if, Sebastian, you could look up some kind of software, right? That you could do facial recognition as well. And that's what we'll be in our next, in Duo Mobile, they'll be able to do that, where they'll take your picture and check to see if you really are in the next, not in Duo Mobile, but in their Microsoft security. So what is that, Soren? Picture ID.
Protects your security and your identity.
Yeah, so it's basically, so is it going to be authentication or authorization?
Authentication.
Right. See, so it's authenticating you are who you are. Right now, you have it in the way that I see you, right? It's being online. This is going to be the first time we go in person, right? That you have your name. But theoretically, right, Soren, you could have somebody, you know, anybody could log in if they have our Blackboard, right, link and put, can you change your name in Zoom? Can you rename yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you could. So in that case, what we're doing right now, Soren, right, is I'm taking, you know, you as your word, and there's really no reason to fake it, right? It's just kind of on the thing of what we want to do in terms of cost benefit. But these are kind of the things. If now Sebastian, Soren went to the lab, because what? In business continuity, I know that there's going to be issues, right, with the computer. So I said beforehand, even if I tell the folks in IT, in the business school, is everything working fine? Everybody has the tendency to take the least road. And what do you think they're going to tell me? Yeah, everything's fine. And in this business, I know when they say there's no problem in terms of technology, I know, as being having too much experience, I know either they didn't check, right, or they just aren't aware of it, right? So in this case, I have it, even though it worked last semester was last semester, now it's today. Even what was happening 2 weeks ago may not be the same. So I had him check. So in order for me to have what I call business continuity and backup and recovery, I ask you to do what? Everyone needs to bring their laptop. You understand that, Peyton? Why?
Just in case the computers in the computer lab decide not to work, or if we have issues with logging
not to
in.
work, right? Could you, is that a possibility, Peyton? Of
It's
course.
happened to me before, yeah.
Right. It happened to me, you know, and it is. And then all of a sudden we're stuck, and what are we going to do? And then you say, oh, I forgot to bring my laptop. I thought I was going to do it. So you need to bring your laptop, and you need to have the latest version of Respondus installed in your laptop. So guess what? So you can go immediately onto the exam, that you don't have to be spending 10 minutes looking for Respondus. And just in case. What I say in this case is there's going to be 2 parts of the questions. There's going to be multiple choice questions, just like the quizzes. You've taken many different types of quizzes in here, even on 2 sets. You've taken in the adaptive assignment, you took it. In the readings, they have quizzes. I've asked you, you could do 2 times. You could do open choice. Here it's closed. I'll give you a sample of around 60 questions. There'll be multiple choice, maybe some true false. And then this will be one part of the exam. You'll finish that up. And then once you submit, you cannot go back. Then you can open up the open-ended. There'll be up to 3 questions there. You'll answer those questions. And then when you close it, it will be submitted. You can decide, Peyton, which one you want to do first. I'm allowing you to do that. People have different learning styles, test taking issues. Why should I make a decision for you when it really doesn't matter to me? Okay, So then I gave you terms here, and on the terms, Peyton, I'll let you go first. What term were you not familiar with? Faster, cheaper, mini? This?
Yeah, I couldn't look. I was
Yeah,
trying to
so
search
basically,
it.
what are
Yeah.
the trends? Basically, this should say, and then maybe we should put that in. Sebastian, you can even put a note to Daniel. I can see when we said characteristics of hardware, faster, cheaper, smaller in the way, in footprint, maybe if trends, what are the trends in the future of hardware? Right? Think about NVIDIA. You remember we talked about that where they were doing those GPUs. Though why is that stock went up so much? Why are they so popular in the news? Is because they're basically doing the chipsets, and they're basically doing not only the CPUs, but what we call the GPUs, the graphical processing units. And what do you think they are? Are they getting faster? Yes. Cheaper in the way that they're going to be less in price in the terms of the features that you have. So even think about, the next phone that you buy, Peyton, the next laptop you buy is going to be faster. It may be in price, not less expensive, but for the features you are, right, it's going to be less. The footprint is going to be less. Now, the whole idea of AI is, what do we need? We have to have then more RAM in that primary storage and larger secondary storage to have that as well. So our RAM has to be greater. Our secondary storage gets greater. Are they smaller? Yes. Per gigabyte or per terabyte, they are less expensive, where I call it cheap. You understand? So what are the trends? So you could look up, in that case, trends in hardware characteristics. Yes, no?
Yeah, I just did that, and it's saying there's an increased focus on energy efficiency, advanced processor architectures, and the implementation of AI in the from 2022 area.
Yeah, and what are the characteristics of the hardware? Right, they're building in it, so what do they need in the hardware? In order to run AI models, what do they need?
It's saying they're physical, so they have a limited lifespan, and they're able to be categorized as internal or external.
What is
And then it's also
categorized as
talking
internal
about
and external?
the CPU and the memory is internal, and then the external is like the keyboard and the mouse and all that.
Right, and also you could have even secondary storage, right? Is that you could have secondary storage be attached to outside your computer as well, right? So all of that is increases. I want to do it faster. The whole idea is, right, Peyton, is what is this whole thing, this run on AI is supposedly I can do it faster, cheaper, and more effective, right? The whole idea where people are saying, oh, you won't lose your job. I'm saying, Peyton, a lot of jobs will be eliminated. I'm not so naive, but what? But Peyton, if you want to have a job, you want to be able that you're proficient enough with technology that you can work along with it. That I can say, hey, Peyton, you can do a job. Basically, you don't want to do the repetitive part of the job. Let the computer do it, and you can use your natural intelligence and your creativity to come up with it. So those are the skills. What else? I'm gonna you get, as we say, first dibs. What other questions do you have for me? And then we'll use it as a review. Is that it? Peyton.
That's all for me. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's all for you. So these are basically the ones that you needed to do. So as I said before, these are ways. What other, in this case, I'll share it in a minute. So are there any other questions that I need to deal with? Otherwise, I'll continue.
Yeah,
So
Professor,
yes.
for the multiple choice, do you think most of the questions are going to be like definition, or are they going to be scenario based?
Both. So Christian, both. So you'll need to know how to apply it, like let's think about Christian. I appreciate. What is your major, Christian? I forgot.
Marketing finance.
Marketing and finance. And why did you choose marketing with finance?
I chose marketing first, and then like people around me told me that it would be good to have finance just to kind of understand like how people talk about business.
Okay. And what do you want to do in marketing?
Sales.
Sales? Okay. Think about, do you think AI can help you in sales?
I think AI is definitely going to make like digital marketing a lot better.
And basically do what? Get you closer. It's sales that you're going to do to customers, right? So if I think about sales, what do I want to do? I want to get to know. If you want to know, number one, being able to know what certain people want or need, right? Just like targeted marketing, right? What you're interested in may not be what I'm interested in, right? So it'd be wasted, to target us, but also it may be able to figure out what I need more that I'm not even aware of. If I'm buying, just like Peyton said, I want to do AI modeling. So I want a CPU that is going to be more powerful. I want more RAM. And then Peyton may say, what? Ask that the bot may ask you, Christian, what? Ask about a GPU. Because in order to process AI, you need GPUs. And then maybe what else should you ask? Well, you're probably going to need more storage capability, secondary storage, right? So the bot be able to do it. And then it may be also, maybe it won't be enough. We'll have to subscribe for cloud services. So these will possibly be questions. Same thing with database. Why database is going to be important, right? That I'll need to be able to search and know my customers well. In terms of students, right? I'll need to know in terms of that, my students well, their needs in order, let's say, for retention or recruiting. Let's say we're going to put you in sales. You're so good and the university environment, Christian, that will make you in charge of recruitment at the university, and you'll try to figure out then who will be our best students to recruit. There's characteristics of our students being able. So possibly those examples would be, thinking about if we wanted to look at all of our records, we wanted to know basically to distinguish, I'm looking for then someone that has in the School of Business that has a GPA greater than 3.7 and is a finance and marketing major. So I would need to be able to find that. And if I needed to find that, the question is, what's the difference? Then I would need to search. And I would need to have, if I wanted to find a specific student, it would be done by what key? That would be unique, and that's called what? A primary key, right, Christian? So that primary key, and then you would say I could give you a number of tables and say, which one would be, what's the difference between a primary key and a secondary key? Christian?
Primary key is individual, like there's no
right,
two
and
primary
unique.
keys.
That
Yeah.
Christian Antonio Vares is not. There could be other people with that name, right? Not many. You have you're not Eduardo Gonzalez. That may be easier, right? But you have it, and then you have your middle name as well, and so. But it's possible, right? That's not necessarily unique, right? There's other Vareses in the world, possibly. So in this case, what's going to be unique? I have to give you some kind of unique key to find exactly you. And secondary are combining, and then I can put you in tables. So there's a combination. You need to know what the definition is and also how it can be applied, just not the wording of it. And the good part in the multiple choice is that it's going to give you hints, right? That first of all, you can eliminate, right? A versus C versus B versus D. But also you want to make sure, Kristen, that you read the question carefully, because it's easy. Even my best students tend to just not read the question well. You know, like some of the alternatives are similar, or you know how it has not, or it says maximize or minimize, and you read it the other way. So I suggest you, if you have the time, reread it. What else? Any other questions before I go and review? So what do we got here? So what do we have in Jasper and Sophia? Well, I don't see Sophia so much. So we don't see him. Okay. Anything else? Juan Carlos. Anything? Did you even review? Did you even look at it? You can be honest too and say I didn't have time. What?
I mean, I didn't like study it fully yet, but I glanced over it.
You glanced over it. And what did you think when you glanced?
I mean, it's a lot, but a lot of things stood out. So like a lot of things we talked about in class.
Okay. So basically, those are the things. How would I study? Maybe, Juan, you want to know that? How I would study is, number one is I would go through the PowerPoints anyways. You know, you have the PowerPoints to go through. I would look at those. I would go through, you know, you had those multiple choice, you know, in the quizzes. Did you do the quizzes where you could be able to take it twice? Juan?
Yeah, I did all of them.
So what I would do is I would look at that, but not look at the answers on that. I would look at the adaptive assignment ones. You know what else I would do is see these reading and assignments here on the Wiley. You see the Wiley Plus in the beginning here? This is Wiley reading and adaptive. You see this?
Yeah.
Did you see that? I don't know if you have the same. You want to look on yours to see, because I'm the instructor here. But if I look at computer resources, let's say, let's look at, right, managing data, database approach. I'm just picking one out, random. You know, you have, you know, definitely, you know, when it talks about the data hierarchy, you know, what are the differences here? And then you have something like this, right? When I have try again, what does a database represent? So this is a database representing the contents of the data hierarchy. So where is it, Juan Carlos? Where is a database? When it says a single character, what is a single character in a data hierarchy? What is that called?
Like a 0 or a 1?
Well, that's not a character. Even though a 0 and 1, that's what's confusing. A 0 and 1 is basically a bit, which is just on and off. Even though it looks like a character, right, of 0 and 1, but a single character is basically what, Christian?
Isn't a
In
single
the data
character
hierarchy,
byte?
what's that called?
A byte?
A byte. And they basically, if I think about Juan Carlos, if you think about under Juan Christian, how many bytes does he have in his first name?
4.
Four, right? Not a big deal, right? But they're just kind of showing you how the computation of the data heart works. And then if we have a logical group of characters, so let's think about really a lot of times a logical group of characters, logical grouping of characters would be what? And then it's a record is what? If I think about a spreadsheet, Christian, what is a record in a spreadsheet where it has rows and columns?
Is the record the rows?
The record is the
Notes.
rows, right? Exactly. The record is the rows in our, basically in the spreadsheet. Because what you are, if I had my my student grade book, that could be really an applied thing. If I have a student grade book, each student's basically data is what? In one row, which is a record. So if I had 35 students take the exam, I would have how many records? 35 records. And then a logical grouping of characters, then the columns in the spreadsheet would be what? I'd start out with maybe with student ID that the university gets, last name, first name, test 1, test 2, let's say. Those are called what? They're called attributes. A lot of times they're called fields that are groups. And then a logical grouping, then so what do you think then a database is? So if I have files that we know, basically a file is like a sheet, right, Christian? A file is a sheet. I have that, and then I have some other ones that it could possibly be in your other classes, right? Could be. So what is the correct answer? You're on a roll, Christian. A database represents, so I know the database large. I know it's not a single character, right? I know it's not, the database is not just what? The
It'd be
J,
the D, the files.
what?
D.
Let's see. So in D, logical submit answer, right? And then it gave me a check, right? So I know that even on this thing, but it's good to have understanding rather than guessing. You know, there may be even questions that are very similar to others, but you don't want to be in a situation of studying, Christian, that you memorize just the questions and then it says what is not a database or whatever, you know, or they have different answers there. But if you understand it, that is the key. So the hierarchy, you can think about it. That hierarchy you see here is the bits, is that's where it is the zeros and one. And do you see that one? That the byte then is the J, the M, the K. And notice that I have here, I have a student database, right? And I have a faculty database, and I can combine those, you know, tables together. So you can see a logical grouping of related fields then, such as comprises then that record. And then you know that then those fields, right, is a logical grouping of characters into a word. And here it's logical, right, is called a field, right? So you have those. So this is one way, and here's a relational database, is basically you have keys then. So look at this one, Christian, you're on a roll, right? You looked at that and all of a sudden, what could I say? What turns out to be the primary key? Christian.
Sorry, what was that? My AirPods just died.
Yeah, are they there now?
Yep.
What is the primary key?
The primary key is the student ID.
Yeah, easy when you know it. Easy, but you knew that anyways before this class, but you didn't know it was called primary key. A lot of these terms, you knew this was a row, right? You knew that if I asked you, Christian, why don't you be my student teaching assistant in training this semester? Next year, you'd be my teaching assistant. And I said, you know what? Sebastian and Daniel, they do a lot of the grading. Create for me a spreadsheet, right? You would know to put student name. And what is the problem here? If I ask to critique this, what is this? Why is this not good, Christian? What would be the critique? What's the problem with this? If I asked you, I showed you this table, what's the problem? How could you improve this table?
Maybe first name, last name.
Exactly. Make how many? Do what? Take one field and make it what? I want you to use the language in which we studied.
Take one field and make it two files.
Field. 2 fields. Break it, and not 2 files. Break it down. Just break it down, and you would know how to do it in a spreadsheet, right? I make it two field. Make this one field. Make it into 2 fields. Why? Because later on, I want to sort by last name and then by student name. This would take a lot longer. I don't want to. That's what I usually want to do. Or I want to sort by student ID, or I want to sort by student ID and my secondary be by major. Right? And then notice here, I probably have major 1 and major 2. Because it's not just finance. I want finance and marketing as a possibility. So I would never find you if somebody was given a scholarship and say, hey, we're doing a new internship and we're giving $10,000 for somebody that wants to work with digital marketing and also has a finance background. I would never be able to find you here. Right? And I don't want to be, and it was just by accident. And then next semester, oh, I forgot that student's name. Yeah, what was it? You know? And they probably wouldn't be asking me, to be asking somebody else that never had you in the class or whatever. And the whole idea of a database is what? We want to basically have a way that maximizes here, that we don't want to be in a data silo. What does that mean? That only I get that information. Other people can get that information about majors, primary major, secondary major, they're equal majors. How many can you do here at the university? You know, I don't. But you know what it could maybe, do I need to make it tertiary that people can have 3? Do you know anybody, Christian, that does 3 majors? Do they allow it?
I think,
Yes.
I mean, as long as you pay for multiple years, I think you can do as many majors as you want.
Okay, so you may be even doing at least 3 put in, you know? That it may be a way. So that's another thing of designing it in advance. And guess what? Later on, once you have the data, then how is AI going to help? AI then will help you with the analytics part. And then basically do the campaign. Okay, now send out those letters to all those people that have finance, primary and secondary marketing with GPAs greater than 3.5. And their graduation date after, 2026 or whatever. So did I answer your questions? And those are ways in which you want to be able to do it to check your understanding of it. Another way that you can look at it, if I do my computer resources, then when I go into it, I can also choose this, the area of managing data. I can learn about the difficulties of managing data and take that on and think which of the following data sources can be classified as data streams. So streaming that data is corporate data, is reproduction, point of sale data, company documents, and let's say even I just pick one, right, of point of sale, and it says yes. But I want to be able to know, not that you just guess, but figure out why is this point of sale and why is it not reports, databases, and documents. And if you ask that, Andrea, why is point of sale the right answer and not corporate data? This all looks like data to me. What is unique about point of sale data that is in corporate databases, government, and company?
Because it's more specific. It's for one thing. Corporate databases has information from the entire corporation. Government reports is multiple types of reports, and company documents. It's too broad. Point of sale is more direct. And that's why it's like data stream.
But what is it? but what's the word streaming? That it's continuous.
Mhm.
Does my point of sale data, is it going to be a data stream, or is it just going to be one point of sale? What does point of sale mean? When you go to Publix,
Mhm.
right? Or any grocery store, right? When you can even do your own scanning, right, of your item. I take whatever it is, some milk, I scan it or whatever. I go to CVS. Remember how they have in CVS, they have half those terminals don't work half the time, right?
Mhm.
And they have to always have somebody come and, unclick it, and then they give you this long roll. But what does point of sale mean? That every transaction that comes through, it's like a stream.
Mhm.
Think about like streaming. Why do they call it streaming? Because my data's continuing. When I'm streaming now, it's just not one point.
Mhm.
It's a stream of data. It's
Yeah.
continuous. The government report happened already.
Mhm.
One report, it's there. The corporate databases, it's what? It happened already.
Mhm.
But the point of sale data, it's almost, think about what else is a data stream in this case, like Wall Street, right? Have you ever seen basically the tickers that go
Yeah.
through? Is that
Mhm.
just one? I asked you, if the market is open, right?
Mhm.
At let's say in a country, and let's say it's 3 o'clock, the market is still open. There's a stream of data that keeps on going through, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Every time you blink your eyes, another, basically, the ticker could be changing.
Mhm.
That's a stream of data. So the NASDAQ has its streaming. Each of those symbols has streaming. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
When you think about data stream, and the whole idea of data governance is what? At the university, and this is good because we'll have it. In this case, Peyton, data governance, it means this. We're the university, right? Does the university have data? Sure, they do. And they have data on different constituents. I'm faculty, they have data on me. They have data on basically everything about me. They basically also I have a C number, just like you have a C number. They have what? They have my address. They have my degrees that I've had, right? They have what department I am. They have the history, right, of where I've been at other universities, where I have it. They have my vita. They have a number of the publications that I've written, the awards that I've given, what classes I teach. They have what my salary is, right? What do they think about? The numerous things that they have. Think about the students. What kind of data you have? Think about just yourself. Does the university have data? You're right. They have all your demographics. They have your GPA. They have, your records, even when you applied, whether you did tests, whether you didn't, your GPA. They have continuing at the registrar, right? They know when you did. What is your major, Peyton, again?
I'm in real estate.
Real estate. So from the business school, from the real estate department, all of that they have. Can you imagine having to manage all that data?
I
And
couldn't, no.
but they do, right? Because what do they have to do? They have to give you grades. They have to give you opportunities. Every organization, and this is called what? An enterprise. It's different. Even you have to store your own data, right? You have to know where your cards are. You have to know where your data is, your bank accounts, things like that. We have to do on a personal level, and then think about it as we go up. The more we get, we have to keep track. So what do we have? We have what they call data governance. Why is that so important? Is that we want not only to store your data, but across the entire organization. That when they're in housing, they have the same information that when they're at the health center, versus when they're from the department in real estate, versus what Dr. Rush has on you. I have some of the same information. Some of it is mine, and we don't want it. So it's basically, there has to be a set of processes and policies to handle that in a well-defined manner. We don't want to have people sitting there and writing it with pen and paper. Of course not. But even if we had it in terms of just digitally storing it, we got to find a ways to do it that we can handle it, and then we can protect your information. So this is so important. We take it for granted, but there has to be unambiguous rules for how do you create it? How do you collect? What am I going to collect on you? Some of it is personal that I have no business having. I don't need to collect on you. Should I collect on you all your social media, what you post? You know, there may be things that you don't want to be collecting on it. How I handle it. If I have your credit card information, you've bought something on campus ever with your credit card, the university has captured that. They better handle it correctly and they better protect it. They should be protecting your GPA. Not everybody has business knowing it. Have you ever been to the health center here, Peyton?
I have, yeah.
You have. There's something called HIPAA. There's health protection. Not everybody has any business knowing about you. Even when I get notes from people that claim, you know, you have to go to class at a certain time, you're sick, they never write, you know, Peyton Everett has this and this problem, right? To keep that, they just say she came to us, and whether you want to share it with me, that's your business. But I have no right to have it. And then they could possibly, they could get fines. They could be out of business if they're sharing their health information. So these are areas in which you want to do. So basically, people are authorized to it. So you have what they call data governance. Who's in charge? So they basically make certain people in the university, their role is to decide who takes care of your data. In the School of Business, there should be somebody taking care of your data, and then they should be able to share it, that it doesn't have to be duplicated. So that's the key. And what they call about is what they call master data management. And in master data management is ability, I have to know how to store it. I have to know how to maintain it well. I have to make sure that it's up to date, and then I can exchange it. If you go to the university health center, and let's say, where are you from originally? Peyton.
Me? I'm originally from Seattle, Washington.
So, and your family lives there, and let's say you go back, right, to Seattle, Washington, and let's say you hurt yourself here and you're going back at the end of the semester and spring break or whatever. Basically, there should be a way that the health center should be able to exchange that data properly in a secure fashion to basically your doctor in Seattle. Wouldn't that make sense? You don't want to take your file, and you could say, hey, give me all my files, download it or put it in the cloud. That's a good opportunity. Or you can get to, you know, you have my chart, right? That you could give doctors permission to do it, but there should be a way in which exchange of information. And it may be just from your chart, you can then allow your doctors to see your chart, but that you say, hey, I don't have my x-rays or whatever. So in that case, is a process in which they're able to do it. And what they call it is single version of truth. That when I think about it, Peyton, there should be, when I see your demographics, there should be one place that we say, yes, I can rely on that. That is true. Even though now, you know, how we say, you know, everybody has their own truth, you know what I mean? But in database terms, it's not in terms of politics or anything. It's in terms of, if there's information about you, it should be a single version. That's what we are going to, and that's called the master data. That's the core. That's about my customer, like my student, all their data that I can rely on it. So these are areas in which you can think about in managing my data. So after managing my data source, I have something called data warehouse versus data marts. And so when I have data warehouses and data marts, the first thing I want to think about then, Andrea, is this. Is that in a data warehouse, they all have the word data in it. is that historical data, present data, or forecasted data?
In a data warehouse, you're asking?
Data warehouse and data marts.
I
It's
believe
the same.
historical data.
Historical. Why is that important? That if we were selling, let's say, cars, Andrea, right? We were a car dealership, and you know what we want to do is we want to sell, let's say, we want to sell high-end cars for our students. Maybe we'll set it up that we'll deliver our cars. We'll do a thing that we'll deliver the most expensive cars. We'll deliver it on campus every beginning of the semester. We do that. I have an inventory database of how many cars I have. Is that a data warehouse?
Yes, because
Yeah, think about it. It's an inventory of the cars I have now. And when the students wants to buy it, let's say, what's in the car that you like? Pick a car, doesn't matter.
I don't know, let's say a Tesla. I don't
Okay, a Tesla, the high-end Tesla, right? You want to have an accurate inventory of what that Tesla, what you have in inventory, right?
Mhm.
So is that inventory historical, present?
Present.
Present. So you answered your own question.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to do. And Christian was asking about that, Christian. That's what you have to do, is you have to think to yourself.
Mm.
Imagine to yourself, she's talking about inventory. I have an inventory database. That has to be what? Up to date and has to be present.
Mm.
It can't be forecast that we're expecting. Maybe later on they say, you know, we're out of Teslas. Let me see when they, in the future, when I'm supposed to get delivery, right? But I had, last month, I had 100 cars, 100 Tesla. Who cares, right? I want the Tesla now, Andrea, or else I'll go somewhere else. So a data warehouse and a data mart, what's the purpose of them is to basically take my data that I have and to make some hypothesis about my data, and I can get some insights about my data. In order to do that, let's say about students, I want to see who turns out to be, when they graduate, the most successful students. What major did they have? What type of courses did they take? Were they involved in any activities? Wouldn't that be important to know? Because it would be important. Who would be an ideal student to succeed here? Because you know what? If I were the president here, I would want to have the most successful, the students that could be most successful. Why? It would give me a better brand. Also, I could reach out if Andrea, you became, you know, the CEO of a tech company or something. I could come back and say, Andrea, come back and give us a lecture. Andrea, come back and maybe motivate my students in the business school. Andrea, come back, and then maybe we'll donate. You want a building with your name on it, and we'll put your name on the top, right? All of that. I want a data warehouse and data mart to be able to do it. So when I describe it in general, and we'll see here, is a data warehouse then is a repository of historical data, because I'm not using it ever for inventory. Maybe what it will be is for our senses. Later we'll historical and we'll think about who bought our Teslas. What were the types of students that bought our Tesla? Were they finance majors? Were they pre-med majors? Were they from the Northeast? Were they from Washington State? Were there Latin American students? Were there my European students? Then I want it in terms of putting all that data in a warehouse, but it's not a warehouse of a physical warehouse, it's a data warehouse. I store, think about it, I'm storing then my data that I'm not going to be using in real time. And I'm going to basically do it. And a data mart is taking a subset of that data. Maybe I'll put all my student information in that data warehouse, and a subset of data mart will be only my business students, and we'll look at who are freshmen. And I want to see what types of services should I have given my freshmen if I would have given them more, I don't know, let's say more lectures from the outside world or more internships or more mentorships, would they have been more happy? You got that? That's a data mart. It's smaller. So when you think about what is it, it's organized by business, by subject. We use online analytical processing. It's online. That's going to be the case. It's transaction based. What is a transaction? So if it's like for my past customers selling data, each of my sales in the past of all my Teslas is a transaction. It's integrated, and basically it's like a time variable. We can maintain by the month. It may be not worth it to know about what happened last year because the market's changing. A lot more people maybe want Teslas than they did before. They want electric cars. It's non-volatile. What does non-volatile mean? We see that all the time in the tests. What does non-volatile mean? Peyton, what does non-volatile mean? I have non-volatile in terms, RAM is not non-volatile. What does it mean? What does volatile mean? That it changes. Non-volatile means it stays the same. If you don't know that term, put it in your notes. Of non-volatile means that users cannot change or update the data. Right? Therefore, the warehouse reflects, you know already, Andrea, this is going to be like second nature to you. You know already it's historical data. And what am I going to look for? Identifying and analyzing trends. What is it about, Peyton, about my freshman class or my sophomore class? Tell me the trends. And it seems like now everybody wants to do digital. I'll find out. Or even I'll look at maybe my graduates, my recent graduates at the university, and I'll try to find out, get some data from them to find out what kind of classes did they find most useful? What do they wish they would have learned in school? And it maybe say, you know what, it was too much lecture and it was not enough hands-on, or it wasn't enough digital. We didn't talk enough about AI, and all of a sudden I'm doing this. So here, the primary purpose of a data warehousing in an organization is to support online transaction processing, store data for the short term, support business analytics processes, enable users to change and update the data. Well, I know it's not to change and update the data, right? I just said that, right? So in this case, store data for short term, support business analytics, support transactions. So let me submit. And it said is correct because that's really the purpose. The purpose is not and notice here, the purpose, you see this one, Carlos? You have to read the question. It says primary purpose. So it may be able to store the data, but the primary purpose is to be able to make decision-making based on my data. Hey, I should recruit more from the Northeast. Hey, I should take more people that want to do, I should give more mentorship, get more mentors in the community, or whatever it is for checking your understanding. So these are the cases, and here are the questions. Okay. Did that help, Andrea? So this is how I would do. I would go through some of that. I would go through it and try to understand it. Not definitely like you did, Peyton. It's first go through all those terms, make sure you know all those terms, and then practice with multiple choice questions. And then even you can put all those terms into it'd be interesting, Thomas, in Google LM. And see what it'll come back and give me a podcast of how I should study. I have 60 questions, you know, that I'm going to do. The open-ended. What else? Thomas, you have anything else you want me to look
Nope.
at?
I think that's everything.
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward, you know what I mean? And those open-ended questions, you see those. Nothing is new there, right? We discussed it, whether it was our exercises or was it what we discussed in the theory part. So in this case, Sebastian, you want to open up attendance, or you want me to do it? I don't care either way.
I can do it if you want.
Okay. So
Let
you
me-
can do the open attendance. And if you need any more questions from me or anything like that, you're welcome to that's good, Peyton. You can use the glossary at the end of the Wiley book, finding definitions, right? You can, I don't care where you get it from, Peyton. You can use AI, you can do the glossaries ways. There's so many different ways to do it. But just, you know, go, and you know what, Peyton, is you can also, I don't mind, you can take that and then you can study with one another too, you know, go back and forth with it. You know, there's flashcards, there's a number of different ways in which you can get that information. You can look at even the multiple choice that you know, you can look at your group. Can you look at other multiple choice from other groups? You're able, right? In the role that you have for the audit area, you can see other people's questions that it came up. And then you can kind of focus on why didn't I get it right? You know, just memorizing it. And then you can also, by going into your grades, can you see your multiple choice questions, Peyton, that you did before?
Yes, yeah, on the recent audit one you're talking about, yeah.
No, I'm talking about when you take it from your regular, you remember the quizzes you had to take in the regular section?
Oh, yes, yes.
Have you looked at those?
Yeah, it took me a minute, but you can go back and view previous attempts, and even if you
How?
got it wrong, it can still see, it will still tell you.
Right, I
There's
think
a blue, yeah. Yeah.
okay, so you can look at your previous questions. That's a good one. Right there, I would start off with, you know? Especially look at the questions that you got wrong. Or sometimes you just guessed, you know? Or sometimes you looked it up and then, but you really didn't understand it. So this way, and just go through it and see, do you understand it? Just like Christian said. But a lot of it, you know, you could have the similar question. My main thing for this semester, for this part of the semester, is that you understand the terms. You understand, Peyton, when we were talking about you, and then we'll do more and more projects. Because I think that's really what you want to take away from it. You know, this exam, I think it's 20%. What is it, 20%? I think it's exam. You know, and all our other projects are even more than that. But I think it's good that you know the concepts. But what do people want really, Andrea, is I think knowing how to use a lot of this, right? But it's a good idea to start when they say, hey, a data where, and then the AI can keep a lot of this where Peyton said, oh, I wouldn't want to have that job. A lot of that, the AI should be helping us in terms of the data, right? Keeping the data, keeping it up to date. Okay. Anything else? So everybody got the number. It's 4965. Sebastian, if you can be so kind and put that in the chat.
I already put it in the chat.
And then stop sharing, and then everyone can take off. If you need to see me, please stay with me. If you have any questions, accommodations, I'll accommodate anyone in the class. I think I spoke to a number of you that needed special accommodations. I'll be happy to accommodate any way that you need in the class. Okay, so Samuel, what's up? You have a question, Samuel?